The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Laugh like the sun always shines, spinning well, fun times, and there's always something to remember, always something to consider.
Hi, this is Katreese Barnes and Something to Consider. And tonight is part 4 of my chat with Dr. Paul Goldberg from the Goldberg Clinic.
In my heart, I already know. And I do sincerely believe that within 10 to 15 years, it'll come out in the literature, just like it did for the hormones before. You know how long drugs take before it's found out that they're dangerous?
Yep.
They will discover that these drugs, these hormones that everybody's taking now, because medical doctors are pushing them like crazy, because now they're opening up these functional medical clinics, and, they're just trying to make a living. They're trying to make more money. That's another way. It's another pull to bring people into the office. Bioidentical hormones. Before you can feel like you can be 60 and you can feel like you're 40. You can be 40 and feel like you're 20. Start taking bioidentical hormones. Nothing you have to do. You just purchase them and take them. No hard work involved there. So very popular in that. Problem is that if you're 50 and 60 years old, you're not meant to have hormones of a 20-year-old. In fact, if you're 50, you're not meant to have hormones of a 30-year-old. What you're meant to be if you're 50 years old is to be a healthy 50-year-old person. Now, I'm 66, and I got the face of a 66-year-old guy, but I got the body of a 30-year-old. It hasn't changed at all. I'm the pull-up and the push-up king. I can swim, I can run, I can do whatever I want. But I'm not trying to be 20 years old. I just want to be a healthy 66-year-old man. And a healthy 66-year-old man can do all kinds of things. Most of the stuff I did when I was 20. In fact, a lot healthier than I was in my mid-20s, certainly when I had rheumatoid arthritis. So when they come in, they're taking these hormones. They're not coming to me because they're healthy. They're coming to me because they're having health issues. And they've tried taking bioidenticals, and most of the women feel a little better for a while. But then they start going downhill. And I say, well, before you took those hormones, and thyroid, and taking Synthroid's another one that women take, which is a big mistake for most women. For most women, that's a big mistake. I said, now that you're taking them, you're not feeling all that much better after a while, are you? And they say, no. I said, did your doctor look and check you out in terms of your sleep habits, your rest habits, your sunlight habits, your digestion, your absorption, your assimilation? Did he check you for toxicity? Did he talk about your home life with you, your work life? Did they look for problems with your amino acids, your fatty acids? They look for problems with protein putrefaction, bacterial overgrowth, and all these other things which interfere with the way people feel. And they go, no. But they gave me these hormones to take. I said, you see, your body can be healthy virtually at any age, to an extent. You're going to, you're 90 years old, you're heading for the grave at some point soon after. But up until that time, you can probably be healthy just about any age. And I have to add, too, that I've seen a few people at 100 years of age that still feel well, too. So there are exceptions to that also. I said, so let's get the foundations set first. Let's get you healthy. Then if there's still a need for those hormones, I'll be the first one to say maybe you should take them. But the fact of the matter is, once they get healthy, those hot flashes go away, that irritability goes away, that energy comes back, those bowels normalize, and the person starts feeling and looking a lot younger too. And people can go on our website at goldbergclinic.com and they can see just the changes in the way people looked also.
Oh, those pictures are amazing on your website.
Yeah, people ask, it's the same person? I said, look closely, you'll see that's the same person. And we don't put just their initials there. We don't say this is TV, this is RJ. We have their full name there because we have their consent to show it. And you'll see what happens just getting healthy. Now, does that mean that the 60 and 70-year-olds are going to look like they're 20? No, but they're going to look like a really healthy 60-year-old. And nowadays, that may look like the average 40 or 30 or 40-year-old. My office manager, before she was my office manager, she was our patient. I mean, she's a woman. She's 65, and she was a pleasant looking woman before we worked with her. But she's. I mean, I got to tell 40-year-old men, I said she's married. I got to tell my 40-year-old male patient, I said she is married, and she's a lovely person and a very, very good office manager too, and a lovely, lovely person. But she now looks. I mean, she could easily pass for 45, 50 years old. And the most important thing is she looks not only looks well, but she feels well. She was a nice person before. She's a nice person now, but now she's healthier and she looks well also. So there is no necessity to take these hormones. But I want to add one thing. I do believe we're going to see that these hormones, taking them, is going to predispose a woman to developing cancer as the years go on. And I'm not only suggesting that, I am quite certain of it. And
wow.
We will test women who have been taking these. I will suggest, and usually they will consent to it, I will test their urine for estrogen derivatives, not just estrogen, but estrogen derivatives. And it's a long story about how this is analyzed, but we look at the estrogen derivatives and we can tell if the woman is headed towards an estrogen-dependent cancer or not. Now, what's estrogen-dependent cancer? Cancer of the breast, cancer of the uterus, cancer of the ovaries, cancer of the cervix, cancer of the vagina. These are all estrogen-dependent type cancers. And we can tell if a woman is headed towards that happening, if they have that predilection based upon their estrogen derivatives. The women, we do it on other women besides just those who are on estrogen replacement or hormone replacement, but particularly with those on bioidenticals, almost invariably those estrogen derivatives are way off. And we can show the woman, here's your black and white proof. You're headed for a problem here. You may not have cancer yet, but you're definitely headed for that. Let's get you healthy rather than, go for the real. Let's be taking pills and creams. Let's go for the real, get you healthy. And then you're going to find you're not going to even want to take that stuff anyway.
Wow.
And we have a lot of women, probably 70% of the patients I see are women, because the 30% of men that I do see are usually men that their wives or their girlfriends drag into the clinic. Women are a lot more proactive with their health than men are. But breast cancer is such a terrible phenomena, and it's a real dark spot on this nation, that we have so much of this breast cancer and other female cancers as well, ovarian and uterine cancer. It doesn't have to be. Most of this is environmentally induced, and a lot of it's induced pharmaceutically, and a lot of it's induced dietetically. We know the causes for it. We know the cause. And so we say, let's get real. Let's approach these things and not do things like taking bioidentical hormones. By the way, I'm not a fan of mammograms because, one of the chief things you learn, I have a master's degree in public health, and one of the things that you learn is that what the causes of cancer are. Well, one of the causes of cancer is radiation exposure. So why the heck would we want a woman to have her breasts radiated every year and say that's cancer prevention? I don't see it that way at all. And I guarantee you, Katreese, if you told men, because men get testicular cancer, that's a tragedy too. But if anybody tells a man, look, what we're going to do every year is we're going to take your testicles, we're going to put them in a vice and squeeze them, and then we're going to radiate it. And that's how we're going to test you every year to protect against testicular cancer. I don't think you're going to find a single guy in the country of 320, 330 million people that are going to do that. If you do, you can be sure something's wrong with that guy, and he doesn't value his testicles.
Right.
I sure wouldn't do it.
Wow.
And yet we have brainwashed women to think if they don't do that, they're putting their health at risk. I would suggest that using mammograms, particularly using them on a yearly basis, is increasing your odds of developing breast cancer.
Do you use thermography?
I do use thermography, and I endorse. I don't have it in my clinic, but if a woman is concerned about that, I will suggest let's do this following to prevent breast cancer. Let's make sure we're eating properly. Let's make sure we're not exposed to environmental toxins. Let's make sure we're not using things on our skin that may have some cancer-causing components to them. Let's drink pure water. Let's get enough sunlight, because sunlight actually has been shown to help to lower female cancer rates. Let's make sure we get enough rest and sleep. Let's get the stress load under control. And if you want to make sure that nothing's going on now, we can do some lab work, like we run a what's called an Esther-Next test. And I said, and we can refer you out, and you can get thermography, and as well as let's learn how to make sure how you do a breast exam, and that's a good thing to do too. So if you take all those steps, all of which are either neutral, they're not going to hurt you at all, like getting thermography doesn't hurt you at all, or the other steps, sunlight, good diet, and so forth, all these things are going to be protective, not only of your breasts, of your entire body. And you'll feel good too. You'll feel better.
Now, you worked for a government agency for a little bit. Which one was that?
I worked for the state of Illinois and for the U.S. Public Health Service in what was called a Health Systems Agency back in the late 70s.
Why do you think it's taking so long for truths about nutrition and health to evolve? Is it just all monetary?
I'd like to say no, but yes, it is mostly monetary. The health industry, the medical industry, is a huge industry in this country. And when I say I refer to it as the medical matrix. That's the term I use. And within the medical matrix, it's not just people who have an MD after their name. It's people MD, DO, DC, ND, and all the alternative crowd too. Now, I want to say, first of all, there are good people in all those fields. I have a chiropractic degree, one of the degrees I have, along with having a master's degree in public health and training in clinical nutrition and diplomates in nutrition. And there are good people in all those fields, including mine. A lot of good chiropractors out there. And there are some good medical doctors too. And there's good osteopaths, there's good naturopaths. But overall, every one of these as a profession, and this doesn't make me popular with any of my fellow practitioners when I say this, but it's a business. It's a business. And when you go to medical school, osteopathic school, chiropractic college, naturopathic college, you're going to learn how to do a business according to that standard. And you're learning how to make money. And everybody's competing for that patient load. Everybody's out there. I mean, that's the whole reason all this functional medicine you see going on now. That's a competition for the patient load out there. Hey, we not only give you antibiotics and steroids and antidepressants, we'll give you St. John's wort. And we'll give you 5-HTP, and we'll give you cod liver oil, and we'll give you probiotics as well. You get everything right here. That's a marketing deal. That's all that is. So every profession, medical, allopathic, osteopathic, chiropractic, naturopathic, they're all vying for healthcare dollars. They all have large lobbies, the AMA, which is the largest of them. And their main concern is to promote the well-being and the financial interests of that profession. That's the primary interest. And so when you get things like mammograms and now getting, colonoscopies, these have significant monetary factors in the background of them. And anybody in the professions that denies that is just either terribly naive or is lying to your face. Now they may say, well, but it's also helpful for the public, and that I would say was debatable. They want to debate that with me, I would debate that. But I don't think there's any argument that the primary push behind these things is that there are monetary factors behind it. So whoever you go to, I don't care who it is, including me, caveat emptor, buyer beware. Make sure you know what you're doing. When you go to a doctor, who should be in charge? You should be. You should be respectful to the doctor. I don't want people being disrespectful to me in my office, but I got to be respectful to them too. And we got to work as a team. And it shouldn't be that I'm the doctor, I tell you what to do. That model should have been gone long, long, long ago, but it's not. Then we have the government involved in this too, and the government has, among the health professions, has chosen to favor the medical profession because it's got the largest lobby and it's got pharmaceutical backing, because the pharmaceutical industry and the drug industry, the pharmaceutical industry, and the medical industry are basically one and the same. And the hospital industry is also right within there. And what a lot of people don't realize too is the insurance industry is also part of that matrix. It's all tied in together. It's one big matrix that works. And so therefore, it's not that the medical doctors and other doctors don't do some good work. They do. But I think their place in our society is overrated. Their authority is overrated. And their usefulness is somewhat overrated. However, you get in a bad accident, you got blood, coming out of your nose and coming out when your arm hanging there by a thread. Don't come to my office. You get to the medical hospital and you go to the emergency room.
Right.
And some of the doctors there are lifesavers. Mm-hmm. They have done and they've saved thousands of lives over the years. But on the same token, iatrogenic illness, which means doctor-caused illness, it depends on what source you're reading. But the Johns Hopkins University a few years ago, back in it was around 2003, 2004, came out as a study and said that doctor-caused illness is the number 3 leading cause of death in the United States.
That was Johns Hopkins.
That was Johns Hopkins. That's right. Johns Hopkins School of Public Health came out with that. So, and there's been studies since then, which some have said it's actually number 2. And that only counts for death. That doesn't even count. That's mortality. It doesn't even count for morbidity, all the people that are sick. So, the bottom line, I think, Katreese, is that real healthcare is self-care, is learning how to take care of yourself. Real healthcare is self-care. And so one of our goals at our clinic, yes, we're business. Yes, we're here to help people get well. Yes, I'm here to make a buck too. And so is my associate. But we do it in an ethical way. And we do it with the idea of getting the patient in, working them up thoroughly, getting them well, and then getting them the hell out of there and giving them the tools that they need in order to stay well on their own. So, for example, you hear from chiropractors that everybody needs to go to see a chiropractor once a month. I don't share that opinion. And when I taught at a chiropractic college, the president of the college was very upset with me because I said that not every child needs to go see a chiropractor every month. Student in the class asked me, said, Dr. Goldberg, do you think every child needs to go see a chiropractor once a month? And I said, well, chiropractic is very helpful for some kids. And if they need it, if they've had an accident or they have a structural problem, they should go see a chiropractor and have that problem corrected to the full extent possible. I said, but does every child, healthy or not, need to go see a chiropractor every month? I said, not in my opinion. I got reamed by the president of the college for saying that. I said, sorry, I won't make that comment again. But, I said, I'm not going to endorse everybody, healthy or not, needs to go see a chiropractor every month. Some chiropractors say you have to go every week. I knew a chiropractor said you have to go in every day. Well, you tell me that that's not a financial interest there at work. So I say, if we don't take patients and get them well, or at least have the goal of getting them well and getting them on their own, then what are we doing? We're making junkies out of our patients. I don't care if they're a medical doctor, a chiropractor, an osteopathic doctor, a naturopathic. I don't care what kind of doctor you are. You're not supposed to create a dependency on that for that patient to come to you. Medical doctors do the same thing. Got to go in for your well baby care. You got to go in for, there's the total of 50, I think there's 50 vaccinations they're giving kids now. And that means you got to go in for an office visit. So it's ongoing, going back and going back and going back and going back. I have, my kids are grown up now, but my stepkids are my 3 Jack Russells. They're the little, I call them the rescue Russells. I rescued all of them. I have them, the oldest one's 13, the youngest one's 8 months. And I have a very good veterinarian that I use, but he understands that I'm not going to have them take all those vaccinations, and I'm not taking them in all the time for their well puppy care either.
There's puppy care?
There's well puppy care too. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I did not know that.
Yeah. And my Jack Russells made clear to me that I'm supposed to be that I'm the dad. I make most of the decisions, and their veterinarian is brought in the consultation. He's a great guy, by the way, the vet that I use. But he understands, he respects my opinion that There's certain things I'll have them do, and there's certain things I won't. In other words, I have to take the responsibility for those dogs. I have to take responsibility. I had 3 kids when they were little. I had to take responsibility for them, and I got to take primary responsibility for myself. Does that mean I would never go to a doctor? Absolutely not. If I am sick and I don't know why I'm sick, I have a great doctor I go to. He's my associate doctor, Dr. David Tenner. Now, is he more experienced than I am? No. Is he smarter than I am? Yeah, he may be smarter than I am, but he's not more experienced. But I go to him because he can see me. He can see things about me that I can't see by myself.
Okay.
Like last time, my shoulder was hurting me because I swim and I work out regularly. I said, man, my shoulder's been bothering me. I said, does he take a look at it? And he looked at it. He said, what time have you been going to bed? I said, well, you know, I've been working on that book. I'm writing a book right now. He said, I'm going to bed around 1 o'clock. He said, okay, so for the next 3 weeks, you go to bed by 10 o'clock every night, Doc. And he said, and just give that shoulder a rest. I said, I mean, I can't lift weights for 2 weeks? I already knew I shouldn't. He said, that's right. Don't lift weights for at least 2 weeks. Went to bed on time, didn't lift weights for 2 weeks. Shoulder's working great. Okay? So he could see things in me and tell me things. I needed a little authority there, and he told me what I needed to hear. So, you know, I'm all in favor of good doctors, but, you know, the term doctor means teacher. We're supposed to be teaching people what they need to do and giving them tools so they can start taking good care of themselves.
Yeah, because there's a lot of push for this flu vaccine. I mean,
yeah.
A lot of push.
A good chiropractor takes a person in, helps them, gives them some adjustments, helps them with their biomechanical balance. But then we'll talk to them and say, this is, you know, I'm talking with you and looking at you. This is why you got sick. This is why your back is giving you problems. I want you to do these exercises. I want you to do these. I want you to be careful about your posture when you're sitting. Let's talk about what you're doing in the workplace, and helps them learn what they need to do so they don't have to keep coming in there to get their spine adjusted. Gets them less dependent on chiropractic care, not more. Get them less dependent on medical care, not more. And you know what? And people say, well, other professionals tell me, if you do that, you won't have a business. That's not true, because my patients refer other people to me because say, you're going to go in there, he's going to work you over real thoroughly, and you'll get well, but he's not going to keep you there forever. He's going to get you well and then teach you what you need to do so you can stay well afterwards. And that's how I would want to be treated. So that's what we do, and I think that's what all doctors should do with their patients. And
people can find you at your website?
They can go to www.goldberg, Goldberg, goldbergclinic.com. And we have a lot of videos on there, patients talking about their care. We have before and after pictures. We talk about my background, Dr. Tenner's background. We talk a little about what we call biohygiene. That's a system that I created. And it's a combination of a number of different things I've learned over the past 40 years, and how that works, and how we work with patients, and how we work with patients that are local, and how we work with patients that are either out of the state or international, because we have quite a few international patients too. And thank you for allowing me to make that plug.
Oh, please. I mean, you might see me in Georgia very soon.
We get quite a few people from New York. In fact, I think I was telling you the other day when I met you first time on the phone that when we get New York patients coming here, I tell Dr. Tenner, I said, one of your people are here. Because Dr. Tenner is from, he's from Long Island. Went to school. He went to school at New York University.
Well, you've given me, and I'm sure the listeners, a lot to consider.
Well, it was a lot of fun, and I'm sorry I was running off at the mouth so much. I guess that's what.
Oh no!
Now that I retired from teaching 6 months ago after 37 years, I still have that professorial urge in me to verbalize quite a bit, maybe too much. But I certainly appreciate the ability the opportunity to share things with you and with your listeners.
Oh, well, you've given me a lot to think about, and I'm definitely going to be challenging some doctors I know with some of this information.
Well, we're all supposed to learn from our patients. I mean, that's one of the most important ways I've learned, is learning from the patients that I've had. Every one of them has taught me something in one way or another. And you've had a lot of experience in healthcare yourself, and you have a lot to teach people as well from your own experience.
Oh yeah, definitely. What not to do.
Well,
I could write the what not to do book.
I could too. And that's why when you first go into practice, it's called, you go into practice, you're practicing. The most dangerous doctor is the doctor who graduates from medical school, chiropractic college, or osteopathic school and thinks they know everything. Because that's a guy or gal you really want to avoid. Because you don't have anything when you get out. You go into practice, and that's when you really learn. If you're open-minded, you'll learn. If you're not, then you stay stupid your entire practice time. Fortunately, I think a lot of doctors learn after they graduate.
Oh, that's good. At least. Yeah, well, we hope, right? We can only hope. Well, I appreciate you coming on my show and being so informative, because I'm telling you, you don't get this kind of information every day, and it does require experience.
Well, thank you for the opportunity again. And again, the website is www.goldbergclinic.com. I also am writing a book, which has been in the works for about 12 years. I've been working on it, and I hope to have it released in about 6 to 9 months from now. And so if anybody's interested, it recounts what I learned over the years and talks about the system that we have for getting chronically ill people, for reversing chronic disease, which is what we do at our clinic. We call that the biohygiene system.
Do you have? Right. Is that going to be the title of the book?
No, the book's title is actually called The Will to Get Well. The Will to Get Well.
I like that.
Yeah. I came up with that title years and years ago, and I'm going to make it manifest and get it out in the market there, hopefully within the next less than a year from now.
Well, I will be buying it.
We'll send you a free copy.
Okay. Then I'll buy it for gifts.
Okay. All right, Katreese. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Through the night, made me feel so right. And there's always